The war that followed the Galactic Council meeting lasted exactly 6 months, but calling it a war was generous. It was more like a series of demonstrations, showing alien species what happened when they tested human. Resolved General Paul Carter stood on the observation deck of the battleship New York as it approached the Sol system. Mars glowed red in the distance, its surface dotted with Manthari mining installations that had been operating illegally for 2 centuries. The mining consortium had refused the human ultimatum to leave, claiming their operations were too valuable to abandon. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the Manthari ground commander," reported Lieutenant Carol Davis from the communications station. "They're demanding to know our intentions." Paul smiled. His intentions were very simple. Open a channel to all Manthari facilities in the system. Tell them they have exactly 1 hour to evacuate their personnel and equipment. After that, everything they leave behind becomes property of the Terran Federation. The Manthari had built their mining operations assuming humanity would never return to reclaim the Sol system. They had torn huge holes in the surface of Mars, extracted billions of tons of rare minerals, and left the planet scarred and polluted. General Carter had spent weeks studying the environmental damage reports, and his patience for alien excuses had run out completely. "General, the Manthari commander says they have millions of tons of equipment that can't be moved in 1 hour," Lieutenant Davis reported. "He's asking for more time." "Then he should have thought of that before setting up illegal mining operations in human space," Paul replied. 1 hour, not 1 minute longer. Captain Lisa Williams was having a similar conversation in the Alpha Centauri system, where Zephyrian colonists had established 3 major settlements on worlds that had been human colonies before the Great Exodus. Unlike the Manthari, the Zephyrians were being reasonable about the situation. "Captain Williams, this is Colony Administrator Kelmar," came the transmission from the planet below. "We understand the legal complexities of our situation. Our people are prepared to relocate, but we're requesting permission to take our cultural artifacts and family possessions." Lisa nodded with approval. This was how civilized species handled territorial disputes. "Administrator Kelmar, you have our full cooperation for an orderly evacuation. We'll provide transportation assistance and temporary housing on neutral worlds until your government can arrange permanent relocation." The difference in approach was typical of how different alien species had reacted to humanity's return. Some, like the Zephyrians and the Hive Collective, had accepted the new reality and were working to establish proper diplomatic relations. Others, like the Manthari and the Corvan Empire, had decided to test human resolve. Admiral John Hayes was dealing with the most serious test of all. 7 alien fleets had gathered in the Terra Nova system, humanity's first colony beyond Earth. The combined armada included over 4,000 ships from various species that refused to accept human territorial claims. "Admiral, we're receiving multiple demands for surrender," reported Commander Susan Brown from the tactical station of the flagship Enterprise. "The alien commanders are claiming that Terra Nova was legally ceded to them by galactic salvage laws." John looked at the massive enemy fleet on his tactical display. 4,000 ships against his task force of exactly 12 human vessels. By any traditional measure, the aliens should have easily overwhelmed the human forces. "Susan, please inform the alien commanders that Terra Nova was never abandoned and therefore could not be legally salvaged. Also let them know that they have one opportunity to withdraw peacefully before we demonstrate why their numerical advantage is meaningless." The alien fleet commanders had spent weeks planning their strategy. They knew humans had superior individual ship technology, but surely 4,000 vessels could overwhelm 12. Regardless of technological differences, they were wrong. The battle began when the Corvan Empire flagship opened fire on the Enterprise. The quantum torpedo that struck the human ship was absorbed harmlessly by energy shields that converted enemy weapons fire into power for human systems. The human response was swift and precise. 12 ships opened fire simultaneously, and 30 alien vessels simply stopped working. Not destroyed, not damaged, just completely disabled. Their crews were alive and unharmed, but every system on their ships had been permanently shut down. "This is Admiral Hayes to all alien vessels," John broadcast calmly. "You just watched 30 of your ships become space debris with a single volley. We have enough ammunition to do the same thing to all 4,000 of you. I suggest you reconsider your position." The alien commanders tried to press their attack, but the results were always the same. Human weapons reached into the quantum structure of enemy ships and simply turned them off. Within 3 hours, the entire alien armada was floating helplessly in space. "Admiral Hayes, this is Fleet Commander Zheltok of the Corvin Empire," came a defeated transmission. "We surrender. What are your terms?"
"Immediate withdrawal from all human territorial claims and formal recognition of Terran Federation sovereignty."
"Your crews will be provided with transportation home, where they can explain to their governments what happens when someone challenges human territorial rights." The final demonstration came when President Maria Santos activated the Terra Defense Grid. Quantum displacement stations that had been secretly installed throughout the galaxy over the past 3 centuries suddenly revealed themselves. In a single coordinated moment, human military assets appeared in orbit around every major alien homeworld. The message was broadcast simultaneously across every inhabited system in the galaxy. President Santos stood in the rebuilt rose garden of the White House, Earth's restored beauty visible behind her. "Citizens of the galaxy," she began, "the past 6 months have provided several educational opportunities regarding human capabilities and territorial rights. For those who chose to accept diplomatic solutions, we offer our gratitude and look forward to profitable relationships." On dozens of worlds, alien leaders watched human warships hanging in their skies like metal moons. "For those who chose to test our resolve through military action," the president continued, "I hope the lessons have been instructive. Humanity is no longer the divided, quarrelsome species that left the galactic community 3 centuries ago. We have learned patience, cooperation, and the value of overwhelming preparedness." Admiral Jake Harrison watched the broadcast from his command center on New Haven, feeling pride in how far humanity had come. The scared refugees who had fled Earth 300 years ago had become something their ancestors could never have imagined. The Terran Federation now takes its place as a full member of the galactic community. President Santos concluded, "We bear no ill will toward species that acted in good faith during our absence. We have established fair compensation programs for legitimate colonial and mining operations that must relocate." Dr. Lisa Carter joined Jake at the observation window overlooking New Haven's rebuilt cities. "Do you think they finally understand?" she asked. "They understand that humanity is back," Jake replied. "They understand that we're stronger than we've ever been. Most importantly, they understand that we learned from our mistakes." President Santos' final words echoed across the galaxy. "However, let me be absolutely clear about one thing. Any species that threatens human civilians, attacks human territory, or attempts to undermine human sovereignty will discover exactly how much we've improved our defensive capabilities. We told you once that reports of our extinction were greatly exaggerated. Welcome to the new age of human space." Speaker Jacques II of the Hive Collective was the first alien leader to formally welcome humanity back to the galactic community. Within days, every major power had established embassies on Earth and opened formal diplomatic relations with the Terran Federation. The age of humanity's second ascension had begun, and this time they had learned that the best way to ensure peace was to make war unthinkable. As human ships patrolled the restored territories and human colonies flourished on dozens of worlds, one thing became clear to every species in the galaxy. Humanity was home, and they were here to stay. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened on Axiom Prime, exactly 1 week after President Santos' broadcast from Earth. Representatives from 63 species gathered in the massive council chambers, all trying to understand how humanity had returned from extinction and what it meant for the carefully balanced galactic order they had built over 3 centuries. Ambassador Rachel Turner walked through the corridors of the council building with the confidence of someone who held all the important cards in the game. She was flanked by Colonel Steve Adams and Dr. Nancy Clark, both wearing the crisp blue uniforms of the reformed Terran Federation. The other delegates they passed whispered among themselves, pointing at the humans who weren't supposed to exist. "Remember," Rachel said quietly to her companions, "we're not here to threaten anyone. We're here to correct some misunderstandings about human territorial rights and establish proper diplomatic relations." Colonel Adams smiled grimly. "And if they don't want to be reasonable about it, then we'll help them understand why being reasonable is in their best interests," Dr. Clark replied, checking the small device on her wrist that could disable every weapon and communication system in the building if necessary. The council chambers fell silent as the human delegation entered. Speaker Jacques II of the Hive Collective, a towering insectoid creature with gleaming black chitin, clicked his mandibles nervously as he called the session to order. Honored delegates, Jacques II began, his translated voice echoing through the chamber. We are gathered to address the unexpected return of the species known as humanity. For 3 centuries, these beings were presumed extinct following the abandonment of their homeworld and the failure of their colonial expeditions. Ambassador Turner stepped forward to the speaker's platform. Honored delegates, I am Ambassador Rachel Turner, representing the Terran Federation and speaking for humanity. I must correct Speaker Jacques II on several important facts. Humanity never went extinct, and our colonial expeditions never failed. We simply chose to develop away from galactic politics while we rebuilt our civilization. Trade Minister Kolnex of the Altarian Federation rose to his feet. The tall, silver-skinned alien's forearms gestured dismissively. Impossible. Our surveys of human space over the past 3 centuries have shown no signs of advanced civilization. Your homeworld of Earth shows clear signs of ecological collapse. Your surveys were designed to look for the kind of civilization humanity used to have, Dr. Clark replied, activating a holographic display that showed star charts of human territory. We learned to build in ways that don't show up on standard scans. As for Earth, the ecological damage was reversed decades ago using terraforming technology you don't possess. The holographic display showed dozens of star systems marked in blue, representing current human territories. Many of these systems overlapped with areas that other species had claimed during humanity's supposed absence. Speaker Morden of the Manthari Mining Consortium shot to his feet, his rocky crystalline form crackling with electrical energy. You cannot simply return after 3 centuries and claim territories that have been legally redistributed according to galactic salvage laws. Under whose authority were these laws applied to human territory? Colonel Adams asked calmly. Humanity never surrendered its sovereignty. We never signed any treaties of extinction. We never abandoned our territorial claims. Other species simply took what they wanted and created legal justifications afterward. The chamber erupted in angry voices as representatives from dozens of species tried to speak at once. Many of them had grown wealthy from mining operations on former human worlds. Others had established colonies in systems that had once been human territory. Speaker Jacques II clicked his mandibles loudly, calling for order. The legal complications are significant, he admitted. However, the practical reality is that these territories have been occupied and developed by other species for centuries. Billions of beings now call these worlds home. Ambassador Turner nodded understandingly. We're aware of the complications and we're prepared to be reasonable. Legitimate colonial settlements established in good faith can remain. Mining operations that were conducted responsibly can continue under proper licensing agreements with human authorities. And what about operations that weren't conducted responsibly? Asked Admiral Velketh of the Zephyrian Empire. The blue-skinned military commander had arrived on Axiom Prime, still shaken from the reports of his defeated fleet. Dr. Clark smiled coldly. Those will be terminated immediately, and full environmental restoration will be required at the expense of the offending parties. The Manthari representative, Speaker Morden, began to glow brighter with electrical energy. You have no authority to make such demands. The Galactic Council governs interstellar law, not individual species. Actually, Rachel Turner said, producing a small device from her jacket, we need to discuss that assumption. The device she activated sent out a pulse of energy that every being in the chamber could feel, but not identify. Suddenly, every weapon in the room stopped working. Every communication device went dead. Even the translation systems that allowed different species to understand each other ceased to function. The only voice that could be heard clearly was Ambassador Turner's, speaking in perfect galactic standard language. The Galactic Council was formed to govern relations between member species. Humanity was never consulted about the formation of this council. We never agreed to its authority. We certainly never agreed to let it redistribute our territory. Colonel Adams stepped forward, his voice carrying clearly through the silent chamber. For 3 centuries, you've grown comfortable making decisions about human space without any humans present to object. That period of comfort has ended. The various alien representatives were trying frantically to activate their communication devices and call for help, but nothing worked. The human technology that had disabled their equipment was beyond anything they understood. However, Dr. Clark continued, we're not here to destroy the galactic order you've built. We're here to take our rightful place within it. The Terran Federation is prepared to join the Galactic Council as an equal member, with full voting rights and territorial recognition. Speaker Jacques II found his voice again, though his translation device remained dead. Speaking in heavily accented galactic standard, he said, what you're doing now is an act of aggression against every species in this chamber. What we're doing, Rachel Turner replied, is demonstrating that we have the capability to take whatever we want, whenever we want it. The fact that we're choosing diplomacy instead should tell you something about the kind of species humanity has become. Admiral Velketh stood up slowly. The demonstration in the Kepler system was not an isolated incident. Admiral, humanity currently maintains active colonies on 37 worlds with a combined population of 12 million citizens, Colonel Adams replied. We have military assets positioned throughout human space, and the capability to deploy them anywhere in the galaxy within hours. The Kepler demonstration used less than 1% of our available forces. The alien delegates were beginning to understand the true scope of what they were dealing with. Humanity hadn't just survived their supposed extinction. They had used 3 centuries of isolation to become something far more powerful than they had ever been before. What do you want from us? Asked Trade Minister Kolnex quietly. Recognition of human territorial sovereignty over our traditional space, Rachel Turner replied. Immediate cessation of unauthorized mining and colonial activities in human systems. Formal admission of the Terran Federation to the Galactic Council with full member privileges. And if we refuse? Speaker Morden asked, his electrical glow dimming as fear began to replace anger. Dr. Clark activated another device, and suddenly every delegate's personal communication system came back online. Immediately, their screens filled with images of human warships in orbit around their homeworlds. Then we'll stop asking politely, Rachel Turner said simply. Humanity learned patience during our time away. But we also learned that sometimes the only way to ensure peace is to make war. Unthinkable. The chamber fell completely, silent as alien leaders realized that their homeworlds were currently under the guns of a species they had thought was extinct. Admiral Velketh was the first to speak. The Zephyrian Empire formally recognizes the territorial claims of the Terran Federation and supports their application for Galactic Council membership. One by one, every other representative in the chamber followed suit. Commander Veltar made the mistake that would cost him his fleet and change galactic history forever. Instead of accepting Jake Harrison's offer to leave peacefully, the Zephyrian commander decided that 50 warships should be enough to handle whatever primitive weapons the humans might have developed. All ships battle formation, Veltar ordered. These humans may have some new tricks, but they're still just one small colony against the might of the Zephyrian fleet. Prepare to fire on my command, Captain. Alex Morgan watched from the bridge of the Defiance as the alien ships moved into attack position. Admiral Phillips, they're powering up weapons. It looks like they want to do this the hard way. Kate Phillips' voice came through the communication system with deadly calm. All human vessels, weapons free. Show them what 3 centuries of human innovation looks like. What happened next would be studied in military academies across the galaxy for generations to come. The Zephyrian fleet opened fire first, sending waves of energy blasts and plasma torpedoes toward the human ships. The weapons struck the human vessels and simply disappeared, absorbed by shield technology that turned enemy fire into power for their own systems. Then, the humans fired back the quantum weapons that Dr. Lisa Carter had spent decades perfecting. Didn't just destroy enemy ships. They reached into the quantum structure of matter itself and simply turned off the forces that held the alien vessels together. Zephyrian ships didn't explode in dramatic fireballs. They just stopped existing as functioning machines. Impossible, Commander Veltar whispered as he watched 5 of his ships simply go dark. Their hulls were intact, their crews were alive, but every system on board had been permanently disabled. What kind of weapons are these? Lieutenant Ben Rodriguez was monitoring the alien communications from the command center on New Haven. Sir, they're panicking. Their fleet commander is trying to order a retreat, but half his ships can't move anymore. Jake Harrison watched the battle unfold on the main screen with satisfaction. This wasn't really a battle at all. It was a demonstration. The humans could have destroyed every alien ship in seconds. but instead they were carefully disabling them one by one, showing precise control over technology the aliens couldn't comprehend. Captain Linda Hayes, commanding the stealth ship Vengeance, reported in. Defiance, this is Vengeance. I count 37 alien ships disabled. The remaining 13 are trying to run. Let them go, Alex Morgan replied. We want survivors to tell the story. But Commander Veltar wasn't ready to give up yet. In desperation, he ordered his remaining ships to target the planet itself. If he couldn't defeat the human fleet, maybe he could threaten their colony. All ships target the planetary surface. If we can't win this battle, we'll make them pay for their defiance. The Zephyrian weapons aimed at New Haven never had a chance to fire. Human defense satellites that had been invisible to alien sensors suddenly appeared throughout the system. The weapons that struck the Zephyrian ships this time were different. Instead of disabling them, these blasts simply teleported the alien vessels thousands of kilometers away from the planet. Quantum displacement technology, Dr. Carter explained to Jake as they watched the aliens' confusion. We can move their ships anywhere we want in the system. They have no control over their own position anymore. Commander Veltar found his flagship floating alone in empty space, separated from his fleet and completely helpless. When Jake Harrison's face appeared on his communication screen again, the Zephyrian commander knew he had lost everything. That was remarkably stupid, Commander, Jake said calmly. You had a chance to leave with dignity. Instead, you chose to attack a human colony. Now you get to be the messenger who tells the galaxy what happens when someone makes that mistake. What are you going to do with my crews? Veltar asked quietly. Nothing. Your ships are disabled, but your people are unharmed. We'll provide you with basic life support and transportation back to Zephyrian space. Consider it a gift and a warning. The real surprise came 3 days later. Long-range communication arrays across the galaxy, from the Altarian Trade Federation to the Hive Collective Worlds, all detected the same impossible signal at the same moment. Earth was broadcasting again. President Maria Santos stood in the rebuilt Oval Office in Washington, D.C., looking out at a city that gleamed with advanced technology. The monuments were the same as they had been 3 centuries ago, but everything else showed the results of human innovation and patience. Citizens of the galaxy, she began. Her voice carried across 1,000 worlds by quantum communication arrays that shouldn't exist. This is President Maria Santos of Earth, speaking on behalf of humanity. On 100 different worlds, alien leaders stopped what they were doing to listen to the impossible transmission. Earth had been surveyed dozens of times over the past 3 centuries. Every scan showed a dead world with a poisoned atmosphere and no signs of life. Reports of humanity's extinction have been, as one of our ancient writers once said, greatly exaggerated. We have spent the past 3 centuries in careful rebuilding and reflection. We are not the same species you once knew. Admiral Jake Harrison watched the broadcast from his command center on New Haven, feeling proud of how far humanity had come. The old humans had been divided and quarrelsome, always fighting wars over resources and territory. These new humans had learned to work together, to plan for the future, and most importantly, to be patient. The galaxy has changed much during our absence, President Santos continued. We have watched and learned. We have seen species rise and fall. We have observed your wars and your peace treaties, your trade agreements and your territorial disputes. Now it is time for humanity to resume our place among the stars. The reaction across the galaxy was immediate and chaotic. On the Altarian homeworld, Trade Minister Kolnek stared at the communication screen in disbelief. How is this possible? Our mining operations on Earth show no signs of human habitation. On the insectoid worlds of the Hive Collective, Speaker Jacques Tu was receiving panicked reports from his military commanders. Your Excellency, if the humans are truly alive, what does this mean for our territorial agreements? We have mining rights on 47 worlds that were formerly human colonies. President Santos seemed to anticipate these concerns. We understand that our apparent absence has created certain complications in galactic affairs. Worlds that were once human colonies have been claimed by other species. Mining operations have been established on planets we once called home. We are prepared to discuss these matters through proper diplomatic channels. Captain Alex Morgan, still patrolling the space around Kepler 442b in the Defiance, was monitoring alien military communications. Admiral Phillips, you need to hear this. The Zephyrians aren't the only ones mobilizing. I'm detecting fleet movements from at least 6 major powers. They're all heading toward human space. Kate Phillips nodded grimly. Expected. The galaxy has gotten comfortable with humanity being gone. They're not going to give up their claims easily. However, President Santos continued in her broadcast, let me be clear about humanity's current capabilities. The Zephyrian Fourth Fleet recently tested our resolve in the Kepler 442 system. That fleet no longer exists as a fighting force. This was accomplished by a single human colony using a fraction of our available resources. The alien fleet movement suddenly stopped as military commanders across the galaxy tried to process what they had just heard. A single human colony had defeated 50 Zephyrian warships. The Zephyrians had some of the most advanced military technology in the galaxy. We are no longer the divided, quarrelsome species that left Earth 3 centuries ago, the president concluded. We have learned patience, cooperation, and the value of long-term planning. We have also developed capabilities that will allow us to defend our interests and protect our people. The age of humanity's second ascension begins now. As the transmission ended, Jake Harrison looked around the command center at his enhanced human colleagues. Dr. Carter was already analyzing reports from their hidden colonies. Kate Phillips was coordinating with human military assets across dozens of star systems. Ben Rodriguez was monitoring the flood of panicked communications between alien governments. The galaxy had just learned that humanity was alive, stronger than ever, and ready to reclaim their place among the stars. The question now was whether the other species would accept this new reality peacefully, or if they would need more convincing. The first shot from the human orbital platforms cut through the void like a blade of pure light. Commander Veltar watched in horror as the energy beam sliced through his flagship's quantum shields like they were made of paper. The blast carved a perfect hole through the ship's hull but somehow managed to avoid hitting anything vital. It was a warning shot and everyone in the Zephyrian fleet knew it. Impossible, Veltar whispered, staring at the damage reports flooding his screens. Their weapons just cut through our best shields. How is that possible? His tactical officer, a young Zephyrian named Kex2, was frantically working at his console. Sir, I'm reading energy signatures I've never seen before. These aren't the primitive weapons humans used 3 centuries ago. This technology is completely unknown. Captain Alex Morgan watched the scene unfold from the bridge of the stealth ship Defiance. His ship was invisible to Zephyrian scanners, floating just a few kilometers away from their fleet. Alex had orders to record everything, but more importantly, he was ready to act if the aliens tried to run. This is amazing, said Lieutenant Carol Davis, the Defiance's science officer. Carol was one of the enhanced humans, her mind capable of processing data at incredible speeds. Look at these readings. Our new quantum weapons are performing exactly as Dr. Carter predicted. The Zephyrians have no defense against them. Admiral Kate Phillips' voice came through the communication system from the command center on the planet below. Alex, are you getting all this recorded? Every second of it, Alex replied. The look on their commander's face when our shot went through his shields was priceless. I think he's starting to understand that humans aren't the same species he remembers. Back in the command center on New Haven, Jake Harrison stood beside Admiral Phillips as they watched the Zephyrian fleet try to understand what had just happened. The aliens were running every scan they had, trying to figure out how human weapons had become so powerful. Dr. Lisa Carter joined them at the command station, carrying another report. The quantum displacement generators are online, she said quietly. We can have reinforcements here from Mars Base and Europa Station in minutes if needed. I don't think we'll need them, Jake replied, watching the alien fleet on the main screen. Look at them. They're terrified. 50 ships against one planet, and they're the ones who are scared. Commander Veltar was trying to maintain his authority, but his crew could see the fear in his eyes. He opened a communication channel back to the human colony. What kind of weapons are those? He demanded. No species in the galaxy has technology that advanced. Kate Phillips smiled coldly as she replied. The kind that 3 centuries of human innovation creates, Commander. We've had a lot of time to improve ourselves while you've been celebrating our supposed extinction. The Zephyrian commander's tactical officer leaned over to whisper in his ear. Veltar listened and his blue skin seemed to grow even paler. Sir, Kex2 said quietly, long-range sensors are detecting something else. There are human ships approaching from multiple directions. Stealth ships we can barely detect. How many? Veltar asked. Unknown. At least a dozen, possibly more. They're using stealth technology we've never encountered before. Alex Morgan was indeed leading a small fleet of human ships toward the Zephyrian position. The ships were sleek and deadly, built with 3 centuries of advanced human engineering. Unlike the bulky warships of other species, these human vessels looked more like works of art than weapons of war. All ships, this is Defiance Actual, Alex said over the secure communication channel. Remember, we're not here to start a war. We're here to end the idea that humans are extinct. Minimal force unless they try something stupid. Captain Linda Hayes, commanding the stealth ship Vengeance, responded first. Copy that, Alex. My weapons are charged and ready, but I'm hoping we won't need them. Captain Mike Turner of the ship Retribution added, Same here. Though I have to admit, I'm curious to see how our new ships perform against Zephyrian technology. The truth was, all the human commanders were curious about the same thing. They had spent decades training and preparing for this moment. But this was their first real test against a major alien military force. Commander Veltar was receiving more bad news from his officers. Sir, we're detecting energy buildups all across the planet's surface. It looks like they have hundreds of weapon installations hidden underground. Also, there are human settlements on at least 12 other worlds in this system. 12 worlds? Veltar repeated in disbelief. But our surveys showed this entire system was uninhabited. Apparently our surveys were wrong, sir. The humans have been here all along. They've just been very good at hiding. On New Haven, Jake Harrison was enjoying the confusion in the alien fleet. Open a channel to all their ships, he ordered. Let's give them some more information to think about. Kate Phillips nodded and opened the communication system. Jake stepped forward to address the entire Zephyrian fleet. Attention, Zephyrian vessels. This is Admiral Jake Harrison of the Terran Defense Force. You are currently surrounded by human military assets and are trespassing in sovereign human space. The bridge of every Zephyrian ship fell silent as they listened to the human commander. For the past 3 centuries, Jake continued, humanity has been rebuilding and improving. We are no longer the primitive species you once knew. We have learned from our mistakes, enhanced our capabilities, and most importantly, learned to work together in ways our ancestors never could. Commander Veltar found his voice again. This is impossible. Your homeworld is dead. We've seen the reports. Earth is a barren wasteland, Jake smiled. Earth is indeed quiet at the moment. But humanity never lived on just one world, Commander. We spread to the stars long before you thought to look for us. And now, after 3 centuries of preparation, we're ready to reclaim our place in the galaxy. Dr. Carter whispered something to Kate Phillips, who nodded and activated another control panel. Suddenly, every screen in the Zephyrian fleet lit up with star charts showing human colonies scattered across dozens of star systems. These are our current territorial holdings, Jake announced. 37 worlds, 12 million citizens, and military assets you can't even imagine. We've been watching the galaxy change while we prepared for this day. The Zephyrian fleet was now completely surrounded by human ships that seemed to appear out of nowhere. Alex Morgan brought the Defiance out of stealth mode, revealing the sleek, deadly beauty of human military engineering. One by one, the other human ships followed suit, forming a perfect formation around the alien vessels. You have a choice, Commander Veltar, Jake said calmly. You can leave our space peacefully and report to your government that humanity is very much alive and stronger than ever. Or you can try to fight us and discover exactly how much we've improved over the past 3 centuries. Commander Veltar looked at his tactical displays. His 50 ships were surrounded by human vessels that used technology he didn't understand. His weapons had no effect on their shields, while their weapons could slice through his defenses like they didn't exist. What do you want? He asked quietly. For now, we want you to leave, Jake replied. Go home, Commander. Tell your leaders that the age of humanity's exile is over. We're back, and we're not the same species you remember. The galaxy is about to change, and everyone needs to be ready for what comes next. Jake Harrison looked out at the red sky of Kepler 442b and remembered the day Earth went silent. He was just a boy then, standing on the deck of the colony ship Liberty with his parents as they watched their homeworld disappear into the darkness of space. That was 300 years ago, but Jake remembered it like yesterday, because humans on New Haven lived much longer now. The other aliens in the galaxy thought humanity was dead. They thought Earth was empty and all the human colonies had failed. Jake knew better. He had spent his long life making sure they stayed wrong about that. New Haven was built deep under the ground of Kepler 442b. The surface looked empty and dead to anyone who might scan it from space. But down below, millions of humans lived and worked and grew stronger every day. Jake had watched the colony grow from a few thousand scared refugees into something the old Earth could never imagine. Dr. Lisa Carter walked into Jake's office carrying her daily report. Lisa was old even by New Haven standards, but her mind was still sharp. She had been working on the Human Improvement Project since they first landed on this world. The results were beyond anything the first colonists could have dreamed. "The new batch is ready," Lisa said, setting down her tablet. 50 more enhanced soldiers, all tested and trained. They can lift a ton with their bare hands, and their reflexes are 10 times faster than old humans. More importantly, they can work together like a hive mind when they need to. Jake nodded. The enhanced humans were his pride and joy, not because they were stronger or faster, but because they had learned to truly cooperate. The old humans on Earth had always fought each other over stupid things. These new humans understood that working together made them all stronger. "Any word from the other colonies?" Jake asked. "Mars Base sends their regards. Europa Station is ready. Even the hidden colony on Titan is standing by. All told, we have 12 million humans spread across 37 worlds. The aliens think all these places are empty rocks," Jake smiled. The secret had been kept for 3 centuries. While the galaxy moved on without humanity, humans had been busy. They built new cities, developed new technologies, and most importantly, learned from their mistakes. The old humans had been greedy and fought wars over resources. These new humans had learned to share and plan for the future. The wall screen in Jake's office suddenly lit up with an emergency signal. Captain Alex Morgan's face appeared, looking worried. Alex was one of their best ship commanders, currently patrolling the outer edges of their star system in the new stealth ship Defiance. "Sir, we have a problem," Alex said. "Long-range sensors are picking up a fleet heading our way. Looks like Zephyrian ships, about 50 of them. They'll be here in 6 hours. Jake felt his heart speed up, but not from fear, from excitement. The Zephyrians were the blue-skinned aliens who had offered to help Earth deal with its human problem 300 years ago. They had been very disappointed when humans chose to leave instead of die. "Perfect timing," Jake said. "Dr. Carter, please inform Admiral Phillips that Operation Homecoming is now active. Alex, bring the Defiance back home, but stay in stealth mode. I want you ready to record everything that happens next." Lisa was already moving toward the door. "The orbital platforms are charged and ready. The new quantum weapons have been tested. Jake, are you sure about this? Once we reveal ourselves, there's no going back to hiding." Jake looked out at the red sky one more time. Somewhere up there, beyond the atmosphere, the Zephyrians were coming to claim what they thought was an empty world. They were about to learn that humans were very much alive and had spent 3 centuries preparing for this exact moment. "The hiding is over. Lisa, it's time for the galaxy to meet the new humanity." Admiral Kate Phillips was already in the command center when Jake arrived. Kate was one of the enhanced humans, tall and strong, with eyes that seemed to see everything at once. She had been born on New Haven and trained her whole life for this day. Around her, dozens of technicians worked at their stations, monitoring the approaching fleet. "Status report," Jake said as he took his place at the command station. 50 Zephyrian warships, standard battle formation, Kate replied. "They're scanning the planet now. I'm reading confusion in their communications. They expected this world to be empty, but our cities are showing up on their sensors." "Let them see," Jake said. "It's time they knew we never left." The main screen showed the Zephyrian fleet as it entered orbit around Kepler 442b. The alien ships were impressive, sleek and powerful with energy shields that could stop most weapons that existed 300 years ago anyway. "Incoming transmission," reported Lieutenant Ben Rodriguez from the communication station. Ben was another enhanced human, his reflexes so fast he could process multiple data streams at once. "Put it through," Kate ordered. The face that appeared on screen was typically Zephyrian. Blue skin, large black eyes, and a mouth full of sharp teeth. This particular Zephyrian wore the uniform of a fleet commander. "Unknown inhabitants of this world," the alien said in accented but clear human language. "I am Commander Veltar of the Zephyrian 4th Fleet. This system has been claimed by the Zephyrian Empire. You will evacuate immediately or face the consequences." Jake stepped forward so the alien could see him clearly. "I'm afraid that's not possible, Commander. This is human space and it always has been." The Zephyrian's eyes went wide with shock. "Impossible. Humans are extinct. Your homeworld is dead. Your colonies failed centuries ago. Reports of our death have been greatly exaggerated, Jake replied calmly. I suggest you leave our space immediately. Consider this your only warning. Commander Veltar's face twisted with anger. You primitive fools have no idea who you're dealing with. The Zephyrian fleet has conquered 100 worlds. We will add yours to that list. Jake looked at Kate and nodded. Kate's fingers moved across her control panel with inhuman speed and precision. Commander Veltar, Jake said, you're about to learn why reports of humanity's extinction were wrong. You're also about to discover what 300 years of human innovation can accomplish. The orbital weapons platforms that had been hidden around Kepler 442b suddenly came online, their energy signatures blazing across every scanner in the Zephyrian fleet.